You guys moved up here during COVID, wasn't it?
Yes.
What actually made you guys move in the first place?
Well, funnily enough, like most people presume we moved because of COVID, but we had decided to move like before COVID actually started. So we put our house on the market, and I think COVID hit about 2 weeks later or something. So we took it off the market, and then we found over the next 7-8 months it was just off on, because we kept thinking it was going to be closed, like we'd be only sort of locked up in our homes for a week or two, but just kept getting extended. So, but the reason we moved was because Mitch and Chloe were living up here.
Oh, so they moved up here first.
So Mitch had already been up here for I think 4 years or something. And they had a little boy, Artie, during COVID. And we didn't even I hadn't even met him. So it was literally, he was 4 months old and I still hadn't met him. And Mitch just rang me one day and he goes, "Mum, that's it. Like, stop waiting for your house to sell. Just come now and come and live here with us." So that's what I did. So I just literally said, you know what? And like, we knew it was going to sell. It was just really hard. You can't have people through the house and everything during COVID. So that was literally the catalyst for us wanting to move. And in saying that, I lived up here in my 20s when I was 19, 20, 21. And I actually loved it. It was probably, closer to because I'm a country girl. I was born in the country. So I was never a city girl. I moved to Melbourne for work, not because I wanted to. I actually, if I could have done it any other way, I wouldn't have moved to Melbourne. So that's how much of a country.
Where were you from originally?
So country Victoria, a very, very tiny little town called Rapanyup. And when I say tiny, like the population for Rapanyup was 450 people when I was living there. It's probably less than that now. And I grew up on a farm outside of Rapanyup in Rapanyup South. So we didn't even live in the town for the first 10 years of my life. So, yeah, so for me, this feels more like me being here, where you've got, I've still got that bit of city because we were in Melbourne for 36 years. So still got some city, or some city feel, but it feels more like country, people feel a little bit more relaxed, a lot less hustle and bustle, a lot less traffic, which was, something I always didn't like about Melbourne. But, I loved Melbourne. Like, the kids went to school there. It was great, great friends, great places to eat out. But I feel like Gold Coast has got all those things here as well now. So
it's beautiful. I've always loved it. Yeah. I've always said I was going to move up here for, I think, about 5-6 years been saying it.
Yeah.
I just feel like when I come here, I get too relaxed.
Do you?
I feel like if I was to retire, I'd come here. But if I want to work and get stuff done, stay in Melbourne. Yeah. I feel like the weather makes you want to go out and go to the beach and do all these things.
It does.
So if I live around it, I'll just go to the beach and I feel like I'll start to get lazy.
Yeah, no, that's actually true. And like, obviously a very big draw card for me is, feeling balanced and good. Like, I think I was getting to the point in Melbourne where I wasn't really feeling that good, in your mind, where you're sort of feeling just overwhelmed a lot of the time. So coming here, just the sunshine all the time. I love the beach. That's why we live where we do here now in this building, because I can see it from my balcony. I can hear it at night. So when I wake up during the night, all I can hear is the sound of waves. It's not, anything crazy like in Melbourne.
Freeways, cars, buses.
Yes. Well, we had freeways always around, and so that's why. Like, it feels good for my soul. I feel like this is more where I belong.
Well, you do, like you said, it does feel like everyone's very chill and relaxed here. It's not this fast-paced environment. At 6:30 in the morning, you see people going for walks and catching.
That's late.
They're
normally out at 5.
I woke up when I was here last time, and we went for a walk with my girlfriend, and I'm walking around, and I'm like, it feels like it's 10 o'clock. This is what 10 o'clock would be like in Melbourne. People are there. There's about 150 people on the beach, sitting around, talking, yoga, whatever they're doing. I go, this is amazing. At 6:30, these guys are out here already.
It is, and I think it's a nice lifestyle for that reason, because I know in Melbourne I was in a terrible habit. I would get up at sort of 7 a.m, go to bed at 11, 12, like not good for your mind having, sleep at that time of the day as it is, let alone just, I just found that being here, I'm now getting up, I'm always up around 5 a.m. And we go to bed literally by 7:30 most nights.
That is
if it's
crazy.
After that, it's like a late night. Like if we go out for dinner, we go out at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
See, it actually makes sense because when one of my friends came here, we went for a skateboard about 9 o'clock. There was like no one on the road.
No.
I'm like, there's no cars.
Everyone's in bed.
Okay, that's crazy. It was like a Thursday night, not one car on the road at 9 o'clock. Okay, this in Melbourne, I guess we're peak hour now.
Yeah. That's it. People go out for dinner. Like even my friends and family that come up and visit, they say, do you want to book somewhere for dinner? And I'll be like, yeah. And then I'm like, I've booked such and such at 5. And they say, 5? That's not dinner time. I'm like, oh, it is. Like, if you take me at 7, I'll be asleep at the table. Like, I'll have to leave. So,
wow.
Yeah, we tend to do lunch, late lunch, more than going out for dinner.
Oh, wow. I've actually never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Not 7, so 7:30, you're in bed.
Yeah, and, that's the most important time of the day to get your sleep. Like, your sleep that you're getting before midnight is so much better for you, so much more rewarding for you than anything after midnight is. So, and especially after 2 a.m. After 2 a.m. it's not quality sleep anymore.
True. They do say that.
Yeah.
And at least try to get your 8 hours. I only started getting 8 hours recently. I was always running on 6, 7. And I'd wake up, sometimes I did 5, and I just realised my health I was getting sick more often.
Of course.
I just didn't feel good. That's when it got me into this whole thing about, okay, why didn't I feel good? You start to look into that, then you go down this whole rabbit hole of dieting and don't consume food before this time, don't watch TV, don't screens, and you can go forever.
Yeah.
I see you've gone into that stuff a lot too.
Yeah, well, I'm really big on, so at night time when I go to bed, like my sort of quality time where I like to just chill out and watch a show or whatever tends to be around 4, 5 o'clock. I like to be not working anymore, and I like to have that to be my time. So you're either with the family somewhere or you're at home, you put on a show, you chill out and relax for a little while and have dinner, like at 5 o'clock. And then by 7, when I go to bed, my plan is to always read as long as I can. So I like to do an hour, but sometimes I fall asleep before that. But I always read. As soon as I walk into my bedroom, I plug my phone in, I switch it on to silent, and that's it for the night. I don't touch it again after that. It'd be very rare.
You notice the difference?
Yes.
I used to fall asleep to the TV. That was a bad habit of mine.
Terrible.
With TV in my room. And then I'm like, this isn't good. Because if I didn't watch it, I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
If I didn't have something on, I couldn't sleep. So I had to try and get myself out of this habit of watching TV, so I'd read a book. But once you get into a habit of watching TV, it takes you ages to come out of that. It took me like 2-3 weeks of sleepless nights to catch up and make my body now adjusted to no TV, maybe a book, or I'd have a tea, or I'd have something to relax me, and then I'd go to bed. And I'd try to make bed just for sleeping.
Well, that's the thing, like it literally, and it sets up your quality of sleep for the night too, because if you think about it, if you're watching TV, if you're on your phone, that's wiring your brain up. It's not winding it down. Whereas if you read something, you come out of your head. So whatever your worries are for the day, this is why I do it, how it sort of affects me. But you stop worrying about all the things you've been worrying about all day because you're in a story, you're completely thinking about that story, but you haven't got it, your room's not lit up, you haven't got all these active things going and colours flashing and people talking and music like you do with a TV or if you're on TikTok or something. So yeah, it's not winding you up, it's winding you down, and then I can go into a beautiful sleep without going to sleep with that stress on your mind.
Have you got into all the red lights and the glasses and all that sort of stuff as well?
No, I actually haven't. No. I don't think I need that. I don't watch enough of it. And I'm actually probably a bit of a rarity on my phone because I go on it to do what I have to do, but I don't actually spend time on it. Like would not sit there and scroll through TikTok for an hour or something ever. I just don't do it. Yeah. Sometimes I go on to check what my kids are doing because I haven't seen them for a few days. I wonder if they're okay, and I'll look at their story and go, oh yeah, they're fine there wherever they are. But I'm not one that will sit on there and just do it to fill time. I do it for a reason, and you know, like I do it for work. Obviously, I spend a lot of time on there for my business, but absolutely not for recreational purposes.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, you post a lot of content, your stories and all that sort of stuff. You think you'd actually spend a lot of time on there.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because usually when I first wake up in the morning, I tend to post like a lot of my stories. Then I might do them here and there when I'm out, or here and there during the day if something pops into my head. But I don't spend a lot of time on it. I don't research it or anything. I just usually post my first, you know, written post, or you know, it'll be a mindset post, or it'll be whatever, you know, it is. It's just what's on my mind when I wake up in the morning, usually, literally.
Okay.
But whatever just pops into my head. I don't think about it. I just, this is what's in my head today, and that's what I write about and post.
Well, I guess it's that more authentic message and stuff like that. It's not something off ChatGPT, you're just copy and pasting and putting on your story.
No.
Yeah.
And look, I often do add, you know, other people, because I follow a lot of mindset, motivational people. And when I see something I love, you know, I'll always add that to my story, and kudos to them for coming up with such a brilliant idea. Like, I love that. But yeah, I don't sit there and scroll through and cut and paste and make all these, you know, things a week in advance. I just tend to say whatever's in my mind.
I think it's easier like that.
Yeah.
As you do it, you just start to post it.
Yeah.
When you prep it takes long. It's a lot of work.
Yep.
If you look at, I was posting every day, and it drains you.
It does.
It does, especially filming content with yourself in it and talking. It drains your life, especially because I had a full-time job too, and I'm trying to do it after work.
Yeah.
I would get home after editing. It'd take you, for a 10-minute video, it could take you an hour and a half.
Yes.
To do captions,
Yeah.
thumbnails, editing, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, then it becomes less authentic, or not even so much authentic, but it becomes less something you want to do and becomes something that you feel like you have to do. And then that takes away, it does take away the authenticity, because you're not just saying something that's on your mind, telling people. Like, very rarely I do actual videos. It tends to be more, I will just say what's on my mind in a, you know, a text, whatever. Sometimes I'll be walking to the gym and I'll think, oh, I just really want to say this, but I never put pressure on myself. Whatever happens to happen is when I'll do it.
When did you start getting into all that posting and motivational stuff?
Well, it sort of accidentally happened to me. Like, obviously, Angry Dad was the beginning of it all. Like, I don't even know if I was on Instagram before that. I'm just trying to remember, because, you know, I was on Facebook, and when I went on Facebook, my mum, who is 80 now, she had already been on Facebook for 2 years before I finally went on Facebook. So it's not something I've done for a very long time at all. But when Angry Dad sort of blew up, I think that's when I started to get a bit of a following, and I guess different things were happening, you know, around the family, around all the craziness. So it just sort of organically happened from there. And I think I fell into where I sit with my Instagram, into what I naturally feel and think about most days of my life. You know, I care about people being healthy, I care about them being fit, and I care big time about their health of their mind. You know, there's a lot of people that go through a lot of stuff that we will never know about. And I think I've always just looked at it, if there's any small way that I can help, you know, make one day brighter, or as many as possible. Yeah, so I just sort of fell into that very organically.
Yeah, it's funny when you start posting stuff about yourself and talking about yourself and your life and how you're, especially when around mental health. I feel like when I started doing that sort of stuff, no one would really comment and mention it like text me or whatever it is. But when I see him in person, bro, like what you're doing is amazing. Keep doing it. I love watching your stuff. I'm like, it's funny how you think you're not really affecting anyone's life, but you start to chat to people and you've actually spoken to a few people.
Exactly.
You've actually affected a few people's lives.
Exactly.
And they learnt something from you, whatever it is, or just feeling like they're not alone.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing for them.
It could be just something that you say that's making them think, oh my gosh, that's happened to her too. Like, she's been through, or she's having a bad day today. Like, that's, you know, so it's not so abnormal after all. Or it could be something just that you've said that day that's just made them think, oh my God, why am I sitting here feeling sorry for myself? Get off my ass, go and do it. Go to the gym or go for a walk, or, you know, it's just small things. But again, people don't tend to write it on your posts, but a lot of people DM. I love my followers. I have got, like, literally, I feel like the kindest followers, because, you know, they send me so many beautiful, kind DMs. And, you know, I mean, some of them DM me daily, every single day. And even if it's just love hearts or something, you know, to one of my stories, they just, you know, and I love that. Like, I think as much as it takes hours to get back to people sometimes, and sometimes I get a bit behind, but it's just nice that they, you know, that they care enough to have a look at what you're doing that day, and, you know, to show that they're interested in it, or they're not interested in it, whatever the case may be.
Once you start doing it for a certain amount of time, you'll see people start to slowly engage more.
Yeah.
So at the start, no one.
Yep.
As I got more and more into it, I get messages and DMs, and they'd text me, whatever it is, and they'd give you a whole thing saying, like, when I done it, my thing started from challenges.
Yes.
So I was doing a lot of like 50-day challenges, 30-day challenges, marathons, all that sort of stuff, and I'd post all about it.
Yep.
And I used to just get random messages from people I grew up with saying, I don't think you understand what you've just done for me. Okay. Seeing you every single day show up no matter what, obviously you would have felt shit.
Yep.
You've got me back into the gym.
Yes.
I'm like, wow, okay. Well, I'm going to keep doing it now.
Because I think that's half the mental issue for people that are trying to get fitter or trying to get healthier. I think they think that once you start, that it's just going to be, you're going to wake up every morning and you're going to be like, oh my God, I feel great today. I can't wait to go and work out, or I can't wait to go and run. And I can't wait to have that beautiful, healthy salad, you know, like, I think they feel like it's probably going to be easy. And then they realize once they start that, I don't feel like, you know, that person looks like that, you know, it's easy for them. It's just not. Like, no one wakes up every day jumping out of their skin, dying to go and do something. It's the mental challenge of having the discipline to do it, whether you actually want to or not, that I find is what sets people up for feeling good about themselves. So it's literally, it's not so much that they're actually fitter and healthier, but it's that in their mind, they know now they're doing something regardless of how they feel, not because they necessarily want to, but because they don't really want to, and it's going to be a challenge to do it today, but they're going to do it anyway. And then once they get to the end of that, they're like, wow, like, I did that. You know, it's a great feeling that you can walk out and go, well, I felt shocking this morning, did not feel like doing that, but I went and did it anyway. Or it could be like a job. Like, I've had people that say, oh, I've always wanted to do something, and I'm like, do it. Like, why would you not try? Oh, you know, I don't think I'd be very good at it. I'm like, well, you're not going to know if you don't just try, like, literally go and have a go at it. And I think getting that mindset where they think, I'm, you know, regardless of how I feel, like, even if I'm not confident in myself, I'm actually just going to go and try. Why not? What's the worst thing that can happen? Yeah. It'll be a failure. Failure's not really the word, but it won't be the success that you want, but it'll be a lesson of probably 12 different sorts of lessons involved in that. Maybe it was the wrong thing for you. Maybe it was not actually aligned with you. Maybe you approached it the wrong way, like, and then you just reset and then you go again. Like, but getting to that point of understanding that you just got to do it anyway. It's the discipline of saying, all right, whatever happened that day, I'm still going to go and do this anyway. Yeah. And that once you feel disciplined, I feel like that's what makes you feel like you're in the space that you belong.
I just feel like a lot of people tend to get that message of, oh, it's easy to do, because people on social media, especially influencers, don't necessarily show you the bad. Yes. They always show you the good. Yes. They'll show you the good days, and they'll show you how easy it is and how beautiful they feel. But they won't post when they feel like shit, anxious, depressed, self-conscious, whatever. They'll just post the good things. Yeah. And subconsciously, when you look at it and watch that content, you're like, oh my God, they got it all sorted out. Yeah. And then you talk to them in person, you're like, okay, they haven't. No. You know what I mean? They probably just only posted good things, but it'd be good if, that's why I started talking about all the bad. Yes. Not like I wanted to have this negative content, but so much positives out there, but it's fake positive.
Yes.
It's not realistic.
Yes.
No one's gonna, like you said, no one's gonna wake up every single day with this routine that they feel so beautiful and amazing every single day.
No.
Some days you might miss one day.
Yes.
Some days you might wake up like, this is the last thing I want to do.
Oh, look, I've literally just had a few of them in a row the last few weeks. Like I've probably been in like a bad headspace for me, like not myself. I think the cyclone sort of almost took me backwards a little bit with because I'm so used to being outdoors and you know, fresh air and exercising and just whatever it was. And I was waking up exactly like that, Peter, feeling like the last thing I feel like doing is going and doing Pilates or going for a walk. But it's funny because it's such a habit for me now that the very first morning I was back into my unit, I was like, right, like this is it, I've got to go. Like I didn't even weigh it up. Even though I didn't feel like it and I felt terrible. And I think I actually got to Pilates and like quite a few of the girls were like, are you okay, Shaz? Like, you know, and I was like, I'm actually not. I'm not feeling great, but I'm here. Like, and you know, a few days of it, and then I started to feel like myself again, and now I'm fine. Like I feel much better and in much better headspace again. But I think it's good for people to know that.
Well, you can tell it's a habit because you almost walked into the gym when we came in here by accident.
I did. Just swipe the gym key. Oh, wait. What
am I doing here?
We're going to sit on the
on the treadmill.
Or something. Yeah, we could have done that walking.
Yeah.
That would have been
walking
interesting,
one.
Peter.
Yeah, different one. Bit of a different perspective.
You could hear me puff and puff. Not very good with cardio. It's not my thing.
You're heavily in Pilates, is it? Is that what you're really into?
Look, these days, that's what I love the most. That is like my non-negotiable. I go every morning. I have Sundays off, but that's my non-negotiable. And I think probably more because of my age now, I've sort of had to back off on some of the stuff a bit. Like running is like a bit of an issue for me now, besides the fact that I'm slow and I'm basically running backwards. But just with knees, I've got, you know, netball knees that I've got a bit of trouble with. So I find Pilates is great because it's a lot less impact, but you've still got the strength training part of it because you can have you as strong as you want. You know, you put whatever things you want on there to make it stronger. So it's resistance training. It's the same as using the cables in the gym, and we're pretty lucky to have classes here where I go at Change that are actually super hard. Like they are.
Apparently they're full on.
Yes.
My girlfriend goes. She said to me. She said, if you go, you will leave in so much pain.
Yes.
I go, relax, it'll be fine. One day, the apartment we're staying at now downstairs has its gym and it's got a Pilates equipment. She goes, all right, try this exercise. I'm like, how am I supposed to do this? My legs are almost over my head.
Yeah.
She goes, well, that's part of the exercise. I go, stuff this, I can't do that. No way. My back was wrecking me, my neck was sore. I go, no, I'm done. She goes, that was 5 minutes. We do this for half an hour, 45 minutes.
I think what's good about it is that it's also teaching you to use your core all the time. And obviously all Pilates are very different. Like, you know, not every class is the same. So you've got to find which one suits you. But, you know, the ones that I go to, we do a lot of squatting, a lot of lunging, a lot of upper body stuff as well. So it's a full-on workout. I've had an AFL player come and do the class with me and he was like, how do you do that? Like literally every day. It's like, that's hard, like really hard.
It's full on.
Yeah, so yeah, it's certainly not a way out, but I think it was just having a change for me. I'd been weight training full on for 20 years, so I just needed a change.
So just normal gym stuff or?
Normal gym, plus I used to teach a weights program, so group fitness program called Body Pump, Les Mills program. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's basically a weights training program. So you start with a warm up and you do every single muscle group. You do, you know, lunges, squats, you do shoulders, you do biceps, triceps, back, chest, like a full, I suppose it's anywhere from 4 to 6 minutes of each of those things flat out. It's a very good class actually. But yeah, I just think from years of that, and it's funny, I look back at myself now and I'm like, wow, I was actually a bit masculine looking then because you don't realise how much you know, you sort of, your body type changes a little bit. And I suppose too, I was so busy too with work, kids, that I probably wasn't eating as much as I should have been as well to maintain it. But I feel a bit more feminine now, and I like the way I look better now. I shouldn't say I like the way I look better now than 20 years ago, because that's not true. But yeah, it's just a change. As long as you're moving, you know, as long as you're doing something, and it's about maintaining that muscle. Like, I don't think people understand how important it is to maintain muscle. Like, you don't have to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You don't have to be like, you know, but if you don't maintain your muscle, what is going to hold your skeleton up when you're aging? Like, that is the only thing that's holding your skeleton up.
Yeah.
Literally.
A lot of people actually underestimate how, like you said, how important it is, especially as you get older too, stretching. Yeah. Obviously, Pilates does a little bit of stretching, a little bit of muscle strengthening as well, but just all that stuff is, once you get to a certain age,
yes,
they say that if you don't do it, you're going to, by the age of 50, you'll be able to walk. You know what I mean?
100% that's the truth, yeah. And I know for a fact that when I was weight training and teaching classes all the time, I definitely wasn't stretching enough, you know. That 4-minute cool down really wasn't, you know, getting you there. So Pilates has been great for that. And it's actually sorted out some of my injuries for me, which has been great. And I'm still getting a great workout. I'm still resistance training, like literally. I just choose a heavier spring.
Well, sometimes you have to change up as well.
Yes.
Like, say, if you're doing the same stuff all the time,
yes.
I was always doing sports like soccer, all that sort of stuff. And once I got into the gym, it got boring. Yeah. It got boring. So I started getting into martial arts. So I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, then boxing. And I'm like, okay, I enjoy these. Because it's different. It's hard in a different way. The cardio is different. It's not like soccer. Yep. You can get a professional soccer player, put him in do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or boxing, and they'll be puffed out in 3 minutes. You can't. It's a different type of cardio.
It's such high intensity. Yeah. It's like boxing training. Like probably one of the highest intensity ones you can do.
Did you ever get into the boxing stuff, like the classes and stuff like that?
No, I actually really it's funny. It's so funny because all my kids are really good boxers. Like, it's just a very natural thing for them. My dad was big on boxing, loved boxing. He used to make my sister and I do it when we were little, actually. And when I was PTing, I used to take my clients for boxing. But I've never really done it myself. I don't think my mind would be able to keep up now. Like, I watch Han, she's doing it all the time now. And I think, how do you remember that combo? You know, he says, go, do, 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 and she just does it. And I think, I'd be like, what was after the left?
It becomes muscle memory after a little bit. Yeah. Once you have to repeat because a lot of the top level coaches will make you repeat things. Yeah. Like, my guy was old school. Yeah. He made me do the same thing for a year straight. Yeah. Every single session, nothing changed. And I got so good at doing it that it was muscle memory to me. Yeah. I could do it now the same. Yes. Because it's stuck in your brain. If you keep changing things often, you don't actually get good at something. Yeah, so it's different. It's different type of cardio. It's a very, very technical sport, way more technical than it looks, you know. Like, I've just been and watched and sat with Hannah in a lot of her sessions too, and it just, you know, about which way you're twisting and you know, where your foot is and where, just the slight lean this way or that way, like it's extremely technical. It looks like you're just throwing punches, but it's just so much more to it. But it's everything.
Great sport, as long as you're not actually in the ring. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, no.
Not that I know it's a great sport, but when I say I'm not a fan, I don't want my kids going in the ring.
It takes a lot on you. Yeah. I have a lot of mates that have got a lot of serious injuries from combat sports, whether it's martial arts, whether it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, whether it's boxing. They all cause especially knee injuries, brain injuries. Yep. It's falling on your body.
Weirdly enough, I did do karate for about a year and a half back in the day. It was funny because we were trying to get Dylan into it when he was younger. And somehow Mark and I ended up both joining in as well and learning it was actually fun. I really enjoyed it. Again, very technical, way more technical than you think it is. So it's actually good for your brain as well.
It is.
But I enjoyed it. It was fun.
I used to love it. For me, martial arts and all that sort of thing was, like I said, for your brain. Yeah. It was so demanding. Yeah. Because I'd normally go there after work, so I was already tired. And to have to think about combinations while you're learning new stuff, and then he always add a different thing to it. And I'm like, oh my God, wow, my brain can't even comprehend this right now.
Yeah.
But once you get used to it, you just start, it just becomes so much easier.
Yeah, I think it's good for your brain to have to learn
Yeah.
all those, be able to remember. Maybe I should be doing something like that now so that my age, you've got to start thinking about these things, keeping your brain active. But I think I've probably tried nearly every sport. Like when I was younger, I played sport always. That was my exercise. I've never been someone who went for a run because they wanted to. Never. Like if I was running, I was playing netball or basketball or some sort of sport. Like I didn't just get up and say I might just go for a 10K jog today. This body was not born for running. But I loved all the different sports, and I think that often that's probably what people need to do the most to get themselves into a space. You talk about fitness, everyone thinks I've got to join a gym or I've got to go for a run, but it's so much more, there's so many more ways to be fit than that. And I think sometimes what they need to do is go and just try all those different things and find out what actually makes them want to get going. What makes you think, oh my God, I can't wait to get to my bike ride today, or it could be the people that you're riding with, the group activity. I always say to a lot of people, if you don't like the gym and you feel out of place in the gym, try group fitness at the gym. Because you can make friends really quickly, and then you feel part of something, and you're still doing the same kind of workouts. You're just not feeling like you're wandering around on your own, not sure what to do. And you've got an instructor there to tell you how to do it, which is, and correct your technique while you're going.
100%. Were your parents ever really into like sports and stuff like that as well?
Yes.
I know your dad was saying it was boxing, but...
My dad was a very good footballer, and he was in the Wimmera League 200 club. I don't even know the exact amount of games that he played now, but a lot of senior games. I think it was 260 something. I don't 100% know off the top of my head. But he was very into that sort of thing. He was also a sheaf tosser. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
In the country?
What's that?
Sheaf tossing is basically getting a great big pitchfork. You stab it into a hay bag.
Oh, yeah, I have seen that. Yeah.
They weigh I don't even know what they weigh, which is probably a really good question, but they weigh so much. And then they've got to literally toss it over their shoulder. And it's like a high jump bar that's set up. It's huge, and they keep taking it up further and further. And it's very similar to high jump, but you're literally tossing this bag on the end of a pitchfork up over the bar. And he was brilliant at that as well. He's a very strong man, my dad. So he was always fit. And then my mum, she was brilliant at sport. She was actually really fast. She was really, really good tennis player. So she was playing pennant tennis in the country when she was 16 years old with all the adults, because she was very good at tennis, good at squash, really good squash player. She's good at golf. She was great at shooting. My mum could shoot.
Well, as in guns?
Yeah? She was just very sporty. There was pretty much everything that she tried she could do. I look at my kids and I think a lot of that, came from that side of the family, where I feel like every time they go to try a sport out, they're good at it. And I'm like, oh, God, how do they, they just naturally can do it.
Well, your husband's side they were in footy and stuff like that.
So Mark's parents weren't sporty.
Oh, they weren't?
No, but he obviously Mark was brilliant at sport. He actually, when he started playing AFL and he got drafted, he was sort of 15 when they were looking at him. He came down to Melbourne when he was 16 years old, because back then they actually drafted you. So Collingwood drafted him and brought him to Melbourne. But at that time, he was also on the cusp of having to make a decision whether he was going to play basketball or footy, because he was every bit as good at basketball as he was at footy.
Oh, wow.
Brilliant, yeah.
So that's why your kids are the way they are.
So there's sport coming from both sides of the family, for sure. I'm not going to say necessarily me, but mum and dad. My sister's very, very, very sporty, my younger sister.
Well, that explains why even why so much of your life is health related and fitness related. Because if both, like your family, both parents were like that, of course you're going to, like my parents, same thing. They were both into their sports and all that sort of thing. So naturally we got straight into it. At 4 years old, we started playing soccer. At Dad had a soccer club. We started there at 4. I stopped
Brilliant.
at 18. My sister's still going till today. So
And killing it.
Yeah, she's doing very well. But sport's always been in their life.
And isn't that great that your parents, so what they've done is they've led by example. They've shown you from the very beginning that that's how, it's just part of your normal life. Instead of you having to decide when you're 20 years old, wow, everybody else around me seems to be going to the gym or going to work out or do something, and I've never done it before and now I've got to start. Like, it's great that parents, encourage their kids to find a sport that they're good at or find a sport that they love right from the beginning, because it just sets up a healthy lifestyle. And, we know habits are easy to form, good or bad. So, if you're going to try and break a 20-year habit of never doing exercise and start after 20 years, it's a really hard habit to break. If your habit is over that 20 years that you've always played sport or exercise and it just feels like part of it's like cleaning your teeth, how much easier is that?
Oh, yeah. That is. Back then, it was very different when it came to sport too. Unless you're professional, it was very different.
Yeah.
Like the local clubs, they would...
Your life revolved around it.
Yeah, but the dad grew up with it too, because he had his dad was into sports, and he had the soccer club back then as well.
Yeah.
So that was always around sport.
Yes.
But now sport has gone to another level. Sometimes actually it's become too much, where people dedicating their whole life to just fitness and health. But at the end of the day, there's more to life than just...
Got to have a bit of a balance. Yeah, I think a balance is nice. I mean, look, each to their own. Like, I'm never going to say if that suits that person and that's the only way they can stay focused and on track with their health, then, by all means, eat out of plastic containers all the time and, do you know what I mean? Like, meal prep and be really strict. But some people, that's the only way. The minute they're not, they sort of fall off the wagon, so to speak. But I'm with you. I'm definitely more about, having a bit of balance. I'm always the biggest fan of the 80-20 rule. 80% be really good, healthy, exercise, strict, and 20% do stuff that you love, eat stuff that you love, and, don't be too hard on yourself.
Yeah, but the easy thing is the training. The hard thing is the food.
Oh, of course.
When it comes to your health and your gut health, all these sort of things, it's just, there's so much to it. It's not just training.
No.
People, I think, more back in the day, obviously food was different back then too.
Oh,
now there's organic this, organic that, clean it. There's so many labels now, you freak out. And everything's got about 500 ingredients.
But do you know what though? Like, what we just have to remember in that is that as we've gone along the way, they want to sell a lot of products to us. They taught us when, I'm going to say when we were young, but my parents would grow up on a farm. We ate eggs for breakfast. We had porridge, or we had steak, like mince, all sorts of weird things for breakfast, tomatoes. But everyone back then in that time were being taught to feed their kids cereal. Like, cereal is not breakfast. Yeah. Cereal is basically, I don't know, it's like a lolly bar chopped up and put into a box, and then you pour milk in with it. Like, everything's just changed so much. So if people stopped overthinking, whether it's organic or not organic, all those things, obviously wash them, do all those things. But if they just think about eat everything that it comes from a natural place. So, you eat eggs, you eat fish, you eat meat. I know not everybody wants to eat meat, but if you were to stick with all of those, the vegetables that grow naturally, nuts, like all those things that are actually naturally made, not man-made, you can't go wrong. Like, if you stuck to that and changed nothing else, you can't go wrong.
Yeah. When you start getting into that organic, pasture-raised, all that, does your head in.
It does.
Some companies, I remember I read this thing about a company was called free-ranged eggs. So they're selling free-ranged eggs, but their company's called free-ranged eggs. So they can do that. And I'm like,
there are so many ways they can get around, they only have to have, a lot of the products, like say they're going to say it's a grass-fed cow. Well, it only has to be grass-fed for like 30 days. Yeah. So you're picturing this beautiful cow out in the pasture, grazing away in the paddock, like I grew up with eating that kind of meat. But you've got to be really careful of those tricks and people that say it's light something or, light on what, It's, and usually if it says it's low fat, it means there's going to be a lot of sugar in it instead to make up for that. So, I don't know. I've always said to people, when you buy something, like have a look at the back of the packet and don't even worry about the table of contents so much. It's more about look at the list of ingredients.
Yeah.
Because the most prevalent ingredient is the first named. And as it goes down the list, that's the least amount of that's in it. So if the first 3 or 4 things in there are anything that's, sulfates and oil and sugar and, all the things that we shouldn't be having. Or you can't
pronounce it.
Yeah.
If you can't pronounce it, don't eat it.
Yeah, true. So I always do that. Like if I want to buy a creatine or if I want to buy something, I look straight at the back of the packet or the back of the tub and see what's in it. If they've put a heap of fillers in it so that it's much cheaper to produce, same with protein, has it been packed with WPC as well? Has it got fillers in it? Has it got sugars in it? Has it got artificial flavours and sugars? Because I'm not a fan of that at all.
Yeah, I got off the shakes and all that stuff completely because my body just rejected it.
Yeah.
I started having kidney issues, liver issues, and I was probably 18.
And it was probably all the other things that were put in it.
Because back then, COVID opened up my eyes to a lot in general. Then when I started going down that rabbit hole of health and all that sort of stuff, you're like, oh, wait a second. Why does that say organic? Like, why does it have to say organic? Okay, let me look into that. Okay, it's say organic because where their stuff comes from isn't considered natural. They basically modify it to grow a certain way or do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. You started going to that rabbit hole and you're like,
you
got to understand this stuff because you could be eating crap without realising. Basically fake food.
Of course. And look, we've been sold on it for years. I mean, look how many years they've been telling people to stop eating salt. So bad for you, it's bad for your heart, if you've got all the... Well, salt's not bad for you. Sugar is. Sugar is the thing that I think sugar kills way more people every year than anything else does.
100%.
Like, you start having diabetes and heart issues and all those things, So you got to be like a little bit smart and remember that they're trying to sell us something, to not necessarily make us well.
Well, they got to keep you as a customer. Healthy people aren't customers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you are healthy, you're taking care of yourself and you're knowledgeable, you won't be a customer anymore.
No.
I've been sick properly in 3 years. I just don't get sick now. Because once I changed my diet, my mindset was another thing. People don't realise how much what you keep in affects your body.
Oh, your stress levels.
Your stress levels, all that sort of stuff. That affects your whole body, your immune system, your digestive system, everything. So once I start to really understand that, I'm like, okay, that's why my liver's not getting better. And I started doing some stuff around kinesiology and stored emotions and all that sort of stuff. I'm like, okay, it's starting to get better now. I've done all these supplements and foods, nothing helped, but releasing the emotion, an emotion got rid of it. How?
Stored emotions.
How does that make sense? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's just your body is just churning it all on the inside instead of on the outside. Like nothing a good cry can't fix sometimes, or a good chat with a friend or a good chat with somebody and actually tell somebody about it. There's a lot of people that are hiding things, and I want to say hiding them, not necessarily from other people, but hiding them from themselves. They don't want to think about them, they don't want to feel them, they don't want to talk about them. But, you can get a therapist online and not have to be anybody that you know, and just once you actually talk about those things that happened, feel the things that happened, cry about them, be angry about them, and then let them go. You're no longer walking around with them stored in your body, and you're not... I think you think you're not thinking about them, but you are. They're always there. They're always in the back of your mind. So once you go and let all that go, it's like a release.
It's funny you said that, because I was talking to my coach the other day, Nadia, and she was explaining to me that, she goes, have you ever noticed that an animal, when it gets chased by, just let's say a lion and a deer for argument's sake, or a gazelle, when they stop getting chased and they get away, they shake. Like they shake it off. And like, oh, And apparently, she goes, there are ways that we've been detached from now of releasing when you're under a really stressful situation.
Yes.
So naturally animals do it. When they get chased, when they're scared, or when they run away from something, they'll shake it off. We normally used to either scream, cry, or shake to shake it off. But we've been detached from those ways of actually releasing that stored emotion. Yeah. And now we're just ticking time bombs basically, because all those things you're supposed to be releasing, you're keeping in, and just kills you on the inside.
Of course. And
when she said that, I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Because what do you want to do when something gets stressful? You want to scream, cry, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But you don't, because it's so
sometimes it's the best thing to do. Literally throw a few things around the living room.
Punch a hole through walls.
But it makes you feel better once you've done it. Yeah. Like, not necessarily you're going to do that, when you're somewhere that you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But, why do kids do tantrums? Yeah. It's because they don't understand their emotions yet. Something's happened that's made them feel a certain way, and that's what they do immediately to release that emotion. They cry or they do a tantrum, And I guess too, society is actually teaching us these days to let them go with those tantrums. But in my time growing up as a child and the way we were taught, it was like, you weren't supposed to show an emotion even as a child. Like if you thought something, we didn't even have the opportunity to say something to people. If you're an adult and I'm only 12 and I don't agree with you, I can't have my opinion or have my say.
True.
That's the way we grew up then. These days it's very different. But
everyone's got their own opinions and...
and
it's a good thing.
It's a great thing. All we have to learn is sometimes there's a time and a place for it. And I guess too, the other thing is you got to keep coming back to yourself. And I'm not going to say I'm amazing at this, but I try and be better at it all the time. But you got to keep coming back to yourself and say, this is just your opinion. Remember, it doesn't matter whether everybody doesn't have to come around to it or agree with it, but you should definitely be allowed to have your opinion. But so should they. Yeah.
That's the thing, that a lot of people tend to think that their opinion means something more than someone else's, and they got this right, whatever it is. And there's sometimes I used to find myself when I was younger pushing my opinion onto other people. I'm like, what am I doing that for? Like, they got their opinion, I've got mine. Now I've become over time more comfortable with you having yours and me having mine. And you can have such good conversations like that.
Well, it's the way it should be.
Yeah,
you
should
be
talk
able
about
to have an intelligent, and it shouldn't feel personal.
No.
It shouldn't feel like I'm personally attacking you, And it's okay also to be quite when you're having your opinion, it is important to you. So you're really invested in it, but you still got to remember that it's still just your opinion, and even though you're completely sold on it, that doesn't mean everybody else is, and certainly doesn't mean everybody else should be. But that's a hard one. I mean, that's, I'm 60 and I'm still trying to learn how to do that. So
yeah, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes when things are close to you.
Sometimes we go over the top a little bit, and usually afterwards I think, oh, shit, I went a bit far then. I probably should have pulled my head in, 10 minutes before I kept going. But, it's all a learning curve. And you know what? When you're talking to people that love you, your family, your friends, whatever, they let it go,
Yeah.
You got a bit opinionated for a minute there. That's all right.
And sometimes it's not a bad thing when you talk to someone that you're not really, I guess, close with, or family, and it is a bit of, it gets heated, whatever it is. Who cares? At the end of the day, everyone should be able to have a conversation that can get heated sometimes, and have a bit of confrontation. Who cares? And they have the conversation. There's no point either running from the conversation because you don't want to have it, and you can't. If someone disagrees with you, you're just going to shut down and not talk anymore. Have the conversation, talk it out, and you might get somewhere. Still on now? All right, done. The one thing I do want to ask you is that I've always been into health and fitness and all that sort of stuff. But one of my close friends recently really started to get into the gut health stuff, when it comes to what you eat, taking supplements, all that sort of thing to help because of the food you eat, intolerances, whatever it is. And I know you're massive in that. So I want to actually know, why is it so important to have such good gut health?
Well, basically, it's more than 90% responsible for every single thing in your body and in your brain, like in your mind. So it's your entire body health and the health of your mind. So to me, there is nothing more important, you know, heart health, I suppose, but gut health. Like gut health is related to heart health. Gut health is related to every organ in your body, but, you know, more importantly, it's related to your brain. Like, it's extremely important. And the amount of sugar that we all consume these days, because it's in so many things that we don't even know about or wouldn't consider into the equation. You know, people would say, I don't eat much sugar. But, you know, then if you were to, you know, say to them, well, do you have barbecue sauce or tomato sauce, or do you have this, something out of this packet? They'd be like, oh, wait, has that got sugar? You know,
Yeah.
and be very surprised how much. But look, it's just, to me, I've recognised it. You know, I had PT and worked in gyms for 20 years. I know that was a lot of the problem. You know, we all know 80% of it's diet, or 90% of it probably, and the 10% of it, you know, is the kitchen or what you're eating. So for me, it was a matter of literally retraining what they were eating and improving their gut health. So, and that's why I literally created the product that I created, because I wanted to help people in a way that you didn't have to change. Like, you didn't have to force them to go on a diet. You didn't have to force them to train when they had no energy. You didn't have to help them to sleep or give them something synthetic to sleep. So by fixing your gut health, you not only fix all of those things, your energy, your diet, your sugar cravings, all of those things, your heart health. It also is just amazing because it resets your mind. Your mind is no longer in that fog, but it's actually literally, it's almost like feeling, we've tried to describe it, or a lot of my clients have tried to describe it to me, and they say it's not like nothing bad happens that makes you feel stressed anymore, but how you would normally have reacted to it before your gut health was better, you would overreact to it. It would become very on top of you. You would go down a rabbit hole. You would be like, it would be hard for you to see your way out of it. Whereas when your gut health is good, your brain health is good, and even though something happens, you think, well, this is not great. I'm not loving this, you know, and you'll still have certain feelings, but it'll sort of wash over you. It won't stay with you. It won't have that same effect.
So is there a way to sort of tell if you haven't got good gut health? I know maybe toilet and stuff like that. Maybe
yeah,
going to the toilet.
Toilet's a big one. That's a good one to know. But I also think cravings, like so many people live on cravings on a daily basis, literally up and down on, you know, whether it be sugar or coffee or, you know, pre-workouts or whatever it is, you know, it's such a roller coaster. And I think if you're doing that, then something is not right in your gut, because you should be having, when you're eating food on a daily basis, you should be just having an even release. I mean, unless you're a diabetic, diabetics have that exact sugar highs and lows. And the thing is, when you have a sugar low, so if you have a sugar high, you have to have a low afterwards. It can't last all day. So when you have a sugar high, it overshoots when it comes back. It can't come back just to a normal, even basis. So it always overshoots and goes way under, which is why then people suddenly have this craving again. They need more sugar, or they need more pre-workout, or they need more whatever it is to get them back up. And it becomes such a thing where you don't recognise what feeling even feels like. And so that's really affecting your brain, because you're not on an even keel. You're up here, then you're down there. So if you're recognising that you are feeling that way quite a lot, that you're getting bloated a lot, that, you know, you feel like every food you eat just about these days is bloating you, and you're having trouble going to the toilet, or the opposite way, like your gut health is way off.
Well, they say that you should go, I've heard that you should go toilet after every meal.
Look, everyone's a little bit different.
Health, with really good gut health.
With good gut health, you should be going every day.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's always exceptions to that rule, but it should be a very regular thing. Whatever your regularity is, it should be regular.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be, you know, irregular. And a lot of that's to do with the kind of foods we're eating these days, and you know, we're eating so much food out of packets these days that's actually really impacting our gut health. I mean, everyone's celiac, everyone can't eat dairy, everyone can't, you know, like, it's just becoming such a norm now that It's because we've just overloaded on it most of the time.
Well, it's funny because people say I'm going on a diet, which just means eating healthy foods and normal foods you should be eating.
That's not a diet.
How weird is that?
You mean you're going to eat like we should be? Yeah.
Yeah, you call it a diet, but it's actually just eating normal food.
I actually hate the word diet, even though diet is actually just meaning your daily food and calorie intake and drinks. But I don't like any type of actual diet. I know that's probably going against the grain a lot, and people say, oh, but I went on, the paleo and it was brilliant, I lost all this weight. Of course you're going to lose weight because you're reducing the amount of calories you've been eating by changing what you're doing. Like, no matter what you do, you will lose weight. Weight is the key thing there though, because the thing is, if you're eating good whole foods, you will lose weight very quickly if you cut out all the other stuff. Stop the sugars, stop all the stuff that you don't need to be having, and especially soft drinks. I'm such an anti-soft drink person. Like, my idea of a soft drink is mineral water and add some lemon juice, fresh lime, something like that. That's, it for me if I want a treat. But if those people just did that bare minimum thing, weight would fall off them, but they would maintain their muscle. Because they're eating the right amounts of proteins and fats, good carbs, good carbs. Do you know what I mean? So if they just went back to that basic thing, and that's literally what I grew up eating. Like, I grew up on a farm. We didn't have a supermarket to go and buy packaged foods off the shelves. So everything we ate we were growing, feeding on our land, whatever the case may be. If we all ate like that, we wouldn't have anywhere near the amount of health problems that we have now.
Did you, when you were living on a farm, was it more of a farm?
Yeah, we definitely lived on a farm. We were sheep and wheat farmers.
Did you, like health issues, did you get sick often? Any family members really get sick?
No, it's funny that, isn't it? Like, no, I don't remember that being the case at all. Like, from my memory. I mean, you've got the usual sort of, the chicken pox or the mumps or some of those sorts of things when we were little. But no, I don't remember people being sick with the flu all the time. I don't remember, having all these other problems all the time. I believe everyone was so much healthier back then. And, these days, it's just, we've just trained ourselves, and unfortunately society has trained us to think, like you said, that eating those kinds of whole foods, that they're a diet food. Well, they're actually not. They're actually our basis of what we should be eating every day. They're not diet foods. Look, people just make it seem so much more difficult than what it is. Just simplify it. People say, oh, what should I eat? Just eat whole foods. Like, if you make that 80% of your diet for the week, it doesn't mean you can't go and have, I love hot chips. I love cheese twisties, but I have them as my treat, and I have, a controlled amount. I don't go and every time I feel like something, go and have it. So much of it is just a discipline. Like, it's just not right that you can wake up every morning and think, oh, I think I'm going to have a donut. I think I'm going to have this. I'm going to eat, Fruit Loops for breakfast. Or like, that's just a lack of being disciplined.
Yeah.
Of course, it's a great treat. Like, everyone loves a donut. Well, not me. I don't like them, but do you know what I mean? And why not have it when you want to have a treat?
Yeah.
But it has to be a treat. It can't be every single time you feel like something. You can go to McDonald's, or you can have a donut, or you can, eat a chocolate bar. It's a treat.
Yeah.
If they just put it back to that and discipline themselves into that thing of, well, it's lunchtime, what am I going to have? No, I'm not going to have a pie. Mark Orval. I don't need to have a pie. Like, a pie is lovely, it's a treat, but I will have that as a treat when, every so often. But I will have, there's so many options that you can have that are healthy. Like, there's so many options.
Oh, there's heaps now. But I've realised with a lot of people, they haven't actually ever tasted real food. And it might sound crazy, but I bought bacon for the first time ever from a butcher.
Oh.
Have you ever tasted bacon from a butcher?
Well, I have, yes.
It doesn't even taste nowhere near what you get out of a packet from Coles and restaurants.
Yep.
completely different taste, tastes like actual pork.
Yep.
I'm like, I go to my friends, I go, have you ever tasted anything like this before? He goes, bro, where'd you get that from? I guess it's bacon, but from
a butcher.
It's actual real bacon.
Yeah.
It's not the stuff you get from Coles.
Oh.
And you get this stuff where it's got this jelly in there and it's just yuck. And I'm like...
And it's been packed with things, preservatives, so that it doesn't go off, and it's been artificially coloured so it looks pretty in the supermarket, like all those... Yeah, I know.
I had a steak the other day from Coles, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, it doesn't look right. Like, it doesn't look real. It looks fake. And I'm like, grab this piece of meat that was on top of it, and I peeled it all the way back. I go, that is not the way meat's supposed to be. It was like a strip of like meat just came off. It was like it was glued together. I'm like, nah, chuck the straight in the bin. No chance. Yeah. Since I started going to butchers, I never went back to anything like that again. Yeah. Even we grow stuff now at home, like tomatoes, cucumbers. Now we've started a few other plants, but you taste a tomato from the garden.
Oh, it's completely different.
Or a grocery store, whatever it is. It doesn't even taste it's actually got flavour.
Yeah.
I can eat it with just salt by itself.
They're beautiful.
But from these plates, no chance. You won't even, it's like an apple.
Yeah.
It's chewy.
Completely agree. And even apples don't even have any flavour anymore. No. You know, not like when we used to pull them off the apple tree. Well, my dad was a butcher once. He sold the the farm. He did end up becoming a butcher. So I was very blessed my whole life with beautiful cuts of actual fresh, good meat. You know, I know exactly where they came from. But it is a shame that a lot of people have no idea, and they think, you know, I don't know, eating a sausage is really good for them.
Yeah, and they go to like places like Greece and Italy, and they taste these fruits and go, oh my God, the food's beautiful there. Well, that's what real food tastes like.
You know, it's not by accident that the Greeks and Italians and that are literally the healthiest, the Europeans, the healthiest people in the world. Why? Because everything that they eat in their meals is usually fresh, homegrown, freshly made, because all the women love to cook. And it's natural. Everything's like natural foods, whole foods that we're supposed to eat. They don't buy packet stuff and pour it in on top of their... Like, it's very, very different to the way, you know, say the Americans and us have turned to with our eating. You know, I'll go and get a packet and add it to it. It'll, you know, make it taste great, but you have no idea what's in that packet. Like, it's frightening.
Well, even bread.
When you could throw in your own, you know, herbs and... Well, bread.
Bread's a massive one. Go to Italy and Greece, go eat bread. You feel fine and normal.
Yes.
Eat it here, you feel like you have no energy after that, you're just gone, you're finished, and you feel shit. And when you ask them, like one of my friends went to Italy recently, and he said, I was surviving on pizzas, pastas, all this sort of stuff. I go, here, I'll be in the toilet or not being able to go to the toilet.
Yeah.
And I said, why do they do that for? He goes, I asked the lady at the store that was selling bread, and she goes, after a day,
they throw it out. Exactly.
Or it's free.
They don't put preservatives in it.
It's free. They just give it away. Because they're like, it's rubbish after that.
Yeah.
We keep it there for 6 weeks in the...
Do you know what happens at our supermarkets here? We go in sometimes, right? We went in to get hot cross buns, and it was still frozen on the shelf. The packet was cold and wet, and a part of it was still frozen. And that's what our bread is like in those shelves. Yeah. Like, why are we eating and paying a lot of money for bread that's already been frozen in the supermarket? Wow. Like, come on. Get it in daily, get it fresh, and when it's at the end of the day, I don't know, go and give it out. Give it to the homeless people. Like, there's so many things you can do with that bread. Like, but we should not have to eat bread that's a day old, a week old, God knows how old if it's been frozen.
No. It's once, like I said, once you start going down that rabbit hole of food, it never ends. And you can't avoid it too sometimes. No. Restaurants. You can't go out to eat then. If you want to be very strict on it, you can't go out to just nice places unless you want to spend an arm and a leg to go spend $500 on a steak, but you can't.
But how nice is it when you go to some of these beautiful restaurants and they have baked the bread and they bring it round like it's crusty and it tastes like actual bread, like not... I don't know, I feel like bread sort of hasn't even got a taste anymore.
No.
I don't really eat it, to be honest with you. I very rarely. I have a bit of sourdough if I do. That's the only bread that I tend to like. And I'd probably eat it twice a week, tops, maybe once a week.
Do you make it yourself or do you buy it?
No, we buy it, but we buy it from the bakery, so they're baking it daily. And always the sourdough. My daughter only has sourdough as well, and we love it.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And it's the lowest in gluten too, so it's less likely to make you feel like you want to fall asleep. My husband, if he has any bread at all, as soon as he has it, he within half an hour will be sound asleep on the couch.
Yeah, I'm the exact same.
Yeah.
I can't. As soon as I have it, I feel drained. I feel like I don't know, I just feel shocking after.
Yeah, do yourself a favour. Don't have it.
Nah, I've avoided it. Yeah. My grandmother made some homemade one the other day.
Well, that probably would have been fine.
I felt beautiful after. But even then, the flour we use and all that sort of stuff's not, if you get the imported stuff, it's different again.
Of course.
You get the imported flour, it's not even white, it's like brown. So it's actually not even white anymore. So it's just, it is a...
What is so? I feel like we're in the twilight zone. The lights come on, the lights go down. Oh, look
they're
at that.
back on again.
Maybe I just need to like flick them with my arm.
Well, as long as the aircon's still on.
It is, I can feel it.
Oh, good.
It must be blowing down to me instead of you.
I think we'll wrap it up there. We're going to be gone for about an hour and a bit now.
That's hilarious.
Honestly, thank you so much for doing this.
I loved it, Peter. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. And thanks for bringing Ange too.
Anytime.
Bless her heart. It was great. It was nice. Yeah.
Like I said, so thank you for your time. And if anyone wants to find your supplements and find you, where they find you?
Oh, it's www.behappy, so it's BEEHAPPI.com.au, or they can find me on Instagram, Be Happy by Shaz, or even on TikTok, Be Happy Health.
Beautiful.
I'm not running, I'm not dancing.
No TikTok dances.
No TikTok dances, I'm not good at that.
Beautiful. Well, thank you again.
Thank you, Peter. It was a pleasure.